What's up, everybody? Brett Mix here from Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying these reviews. I love dishing them out. And this week we have a very special Raw to go over. And this is the 100th week Nitro faced Raw in the ratings. Nitro got a 3.9, Raw got a 3.0. So WCW won by 0.9. The total scoreboard through 100 weeks is Raw has 17 wins, 81 losses, and 2 draws. The WCW Nitro won for the 62nd week in a row. This show went on live on Monday night on the USA Network, October the 6th, 1997. It took place from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. This was the night after Bad Blood, where HBK beat Taker in the Cell with Kane's debut. The Godwins won tag gold from the Headbangers, and Owen won the IC title with help from Austin and the Farouk to ensure Owen was still the IC champion when Austin gets him next. That's the reason Austin helped Owen win. This show was also known as the Pillman Tribute Show, as superstars lined up below the Titantron for a 10-bell salute. Pillman passed away the day before, and Owen Hart is front and center looking broken, as he was a Hart Foundation member and a good friend. This is eerily and coincidentally the same arena Owen would later fall and die in 2 years later. So it's a little bit eerie and unbelievable, actually, to see Owen Hart front and center at the Pillman Tribute in the same arena that the accident with him happened in. Just not even 2 years later. Raw didn't go live with the thorn in your eye pyro out of respect. There was no pyro out of respect. This was the night coming off the awesome Hell in a Cell Bad Blood featuring Kane's debut. As said, JR and King welcome us to the show while Cole does a promo with Triple H, Chyna, and HBK in the ring. This is the first night that Triple H wants to be called Triple H rather than Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So things are... The Attitude Era, every week, things are changing, and people are taking on their personas that are closer to the Attitude Era-esque them. There's an amazing back-and-forth promo to open the show between Brett and HBK. To start the show, Michael Cole says it's one of the best matches ever last night, and HBK gives Michael Cole the wedgie as a welcome to the WWF initiation. And Shawn says that's going to leave a mark. Michael says he is the greatest star in the world today. HBK is the only icon. Triple H and Chyna push Cole back and forth between them as bullies. HBK says, when you refer to me as the icon, I'm not one of those fossils, meaning for WCW. He takes shot at NWO WCW wrestlers. He says, the icon that can still go. HBK strutted around the ring while Triple H grabbed the mic and said, who is the man? HBK went, me. Triple H said, who is the showstopper? HBK went, me. And then HBK says the Clique is the greatest faction in the world today. That's what they were going to name themselves, obviously, the Clique. Or the Outlaws. They've named themselves both those kind of names, but the Outlaws would be later used by another team. And the Clique was just stay as a backstage name, as we'd get the DX name soon, but not on this night, but soon from now. They had difficulties, but they played the curtain call incident on the Titantron while HBK wanted to see Bad Blood highlights. And Triple H went, look, I'm a bad guy. And HBK said, look, I was a good guy. And they kind of just tell the fans what happened. And McMahon is sitting on commentary, acts like he doesn't like what he's seeing again. Bret Hart comes out, says, I'm a second-generation wrestler. I paid my dues. You two are the lowest form of scum that's ever come out of here. He says, HBK, you're nothing but a degenerate. That's the first time we hear that. Bret says he knows what Triple H stands for. You're a homo, and you are a homo, HBK. Triple H took the mic and said, I ain't no queer. Bret says, I make as much money as the three of you combined. This is the WWF Championship belt, and you'll never be the showstopper until you take this from me. And then he says, you're not the first one to beat The Undertaker, you know. The Clique and those other two guys you have with you, Bret says he ran Razor and Diesel out of town. He's going to run you guys out of town. Well, that's what Bret said anyway. Bret says to HBK, when Survivor Series comes, he's going to kick your scrawny little ass. As some of the crowd pop. HBK says Bret can suck it. And HBK says he's in the business because this business needs the Clique. And he goes, you are a zero, my hero. Tons of lines that they would later use between Bret and HBK are used in this promo. Like almost every line they said was like a clipped promo. Even HBK's actions. He comes out going, suck it to one side, suck it to one side. And you remember that in the DX entrance video. And you'd see later stuff with him later in the night with him that's clip-worthy. In the ring, the Godwins took on the Headbangers. Tons of jobbers were all on the outside, like the DOA. I'm not calling them jobbers, but like a lot of gangs, Los Periquas, DOA, And let's face it, lots of them are jobbers. They're around the ring for a lumberjack match, but the Headbangers won in the end at 418. They get some retribution after losing their tag titles to the Godwins of Bad Blood. Mark Merrill, with his first wrestling match in months on Raw, comes out with Sable, and he's now Marvelous Mark. They don't call him Marvelous yet, but he's in his Boxer Marvelous Mark gimmick. He faces Miguel Perez, and Merrill lifted up Perez, hit him with the TKO, and wins his comeback match at 223. I give it a 1.25 stars. Jim Cornette goes off on a shoot, and this is great. He touches on Arn and Flair, Mick Foley, Bischoff. He says Bischoff is just trying to prove his Johnson's big by paying people by getting Turner's money and paying people. So a good shoot promo. He'd get better shoot promos in the coming weeks that I'll allude to later. And that's what he says in the interviews. More on that later. The British Bulldog with the Hart Foundation took on Rocky Maivia with the Nation. The Bulldog comes out with a thunderous clothesline. Rocky with a unique pinfall. The British Bulldog run and slammed at Rocky after that pinfall unique attempt by Rock. Bulldog wins at 3:45 after the Nation's Farouk comes out and whipped him with a strap. I gave it a 1.5 stars. Farouk tried to go for Owen after the match, but they had to be cleared. They then said Stone Cold's on next as the second hour kicks in. Austin wearing the Stone Cold hat for the second night and wearing his big gold necklace as a tribute to Brian Pillman, who bought it for him when they were the Hollywood Blondes. McMahon says, I don't believe you have a piece of paper. And Austin says, I couldn't go to the doctor yet, you jackass. Austin says, you damn right you don't think of an alternative. Austin said he'll sign the papers if I get Owen Hart's ass in a title match. And McMahon said, very well. They said some other things too, but that was the gist of it. Farouk comes on the Titantron and yells at Austin, and they put the camera solely on Farouk, even though Rocky Maivia is in the background making all these hilarious faces, but they zoom in on Farouk so you can't see The Rock. It's amazing. There was a time when the cameraman thought a close-up on Farouk was better than watching The Rock. I know The Rock wasn't The Rock yet, but it's just so mind-blowing. There was a time that a close-up of Farouk of the Nation of Domination would be more captivating than a picture of The Rock being funny. It's just amazing that there was ever a time that happened, but it happened, and I lived through it. But it's so funny in retrospect. They then say they're going to Pillman's house to talk to Melanie, the widow, just 24 hours later. Owen Hart defeats Road Warrior Hawk in the same building that, of course, he died in just not even 2 years later. He won at 322. I gave it a 1.75 stars. Vince asks for her to speculate on 35-year-old Pillman. He actually asked if she wants to talk to all the other athletes that may use pain medication. Unbelievable question to ask when she says, how are you going to support your kids now? McMahon did ask how would Pillman's legacy like to be handled, and she said, wonderful father, wonderful man, and certainly we pay tribute to Brian Pillman. Next, the Hardy Boys take on the Truth Commission, but Kane's music hit, and Kane comes out for the first time on TV, and live TV, not pay-per-view, and he dismantles both Hardy Boys, throwing them to the outside with a double chokeslam. Well, a double chokeslam, then throw them to the outside. So the match ended in a no contest. Bear said, laugh at the fat man, but I told you no one should be laughing, including The Undertaker. Welcome to your worst nightmare. In the main event, Triple H took on Bret Hart. This is Triple H's first match, known as Triple H again, and Shawn Michaels came out and wiped the Canadian flag with his nostrils, or he put this Canadian flag in his nasal cavity, and thought that was funny. On the outside, Triple H and Bret fought back and forth. It was a good fought match, but HBK hit Bret with a super kick on the outside and then said, suck it, suck it, suck it, 3 or 4 times. And in the end, Helmsley, the ref didn't see that because she was distracted by China and the Hart Foundation, but Helmsley won by countout at 10:30 because of this. So I gave that match 2 stars and 3/4. After the match, the Hart Foundation remained around the ring while HBK super kicked Bret. They end the show with the clip of HBK telling Bret to suck it a few times more, again on the replay, after the sweet chin music outside, allowing Helmsley to get the big win. China lifts Helmsley up like he's some kind of hero for winning. Quality rating-wise, I give the show a 6 out of 10. It had the debut of Kane, which was awesome. They had to change creative or at least modify it, so there was no Gold Dust renewing the wedding vows because of the death from Pillman. Pillman was supposed to be a part of that. Hawk Owen and Bret Triple H were both fine matches on the night, and they stayed away from a lot of fluff. You can tell since the rating was a 3.0, which is higher than average for Raw, that it was because of Pillman and, of course, the debut of Kane. So we'll see what happens next week in the Attitude Era as it's officially begun in the WWF. Hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying these reviews. I'm Brett Mix, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.